Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with El Conservador, George Rodriguez. We've been talking about the border security issues, and I just wanted to mention that I realize this is a controversial issue, and I ask for your civil discussion and debate on this issue, but please don't write or say nasty, ugly things on social media. I'll respect your opinion. I just ask that you respect the opinions expressed on this show, Talk Law Radio. We know that border security, asylum, and immigration are part of United States law, but we also know that some unintended side effects of the massive number of immigrants coming over is fentanyl that is poisoning our youth. It's one of the number one causes of untimely death of our youth. And child sex trafficking is on the rise. And also the keep catching some of the terrorists that are coming into the country. Some that are on the terrorist watch list. And so that's been verified. And I have also interviewed some guests that were with immigration charities. I've interviewed immigration attorneys, and now I'm interviewing El Conservador. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk a little bit about the razor wire and the buoys, and now the Texas National Guard is down there. Tell us what you've been hearing about those things.
Well, you know, the situation that we've got is that it is a border that is out of control. Now, let's understand that the whole history of the U.S.-Mexico border has been one that has been fraught with issues of security from the very time that it was created until now. My grandparents used to talk about bootleggers going back and forth way back in the 20s. The history, Pancho Villa coming across and raiding the Columbus, New Mexico. There have always been problems with criminals, with folks going back and forth, contraband, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not new. However, it's never been to this level. It has never, ever been to this level. The Texas Rangers, the Border Patrol was organized in the 1920s specifically to address the issue of border crime, and at that point, the bootlegging that was going on back and forth. It's always been a problem. However, it's never been like this. This is out of control. On top of that, the Biden administration has dictated that the Border Patrol, which is supposed to patrol the border, which is supposed to be a law enforcement agency, has now become more and more, literally it has become a social service rather than an enforcement service. And so it's created a problem where they're more like Walmart greeters than they are, police officers. Mm-hmm. So the border, again, being out of control, the state needs to do something. The state needs to protect the citizens of Texas from the consequences of this wide open border. For example, on my show later this afternoon.
Oh, I wanted you to mention your show and the time and everything.
Later this afternoon at 2 o'clock Central on this very station, the Sheriff Brad Coe from Kenny County, which is just west of San Antonio, is going to be talking about a chase of a human smuggler that literally ended up with something like well over $100,000 worth of damage. The human smuggler went through fences after fences after fences, damaged property all over the place. It took something like 3 to 4 hours, and the individual ended up getting away. It covered 2 counties. This is one of the situations that has resulted from the open border. The other thing is that these ranchers, for example, in Kenny County, a couple of them raise exotic game for folks to hunt, and this exotic game, because of the broken fences, has gotten out repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of fixing a fence, and they break fences weekly, is also expensive for the property owner.
Right. I know a guy that his cattle got out same way.
It is there are major. So the state of Texas has stepped up, and in order to do what it can to deter, again, because I will emphasize that because the federal government is not doing what it's supposed to do, because they've had to step up. There is the state of Texas has passed this law that they will arrest anyone who is undocumented. Specifically, if they are undocumented, they will be arrested and taken to the bridge, sent back across. Now, there are all sorts of folks who are worried about racial profiling, about the situation of the state enforcing federal law. Number one, the state has to do something to protect its citizens. That's number one.
Yeah, one of my listeners was worried about the unintended consequences of immigrants not wanting to approach police, even if they are being trafficked, even if they are being forced to work without pay. So there's unintended consequences on both sides, but it all stems from having an open border.
It all stems from having, again, if we wanted to address the problems of people being afraid of being trafficked, shut the border down, and the people would not be trafficked.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. If people are worried about somebody being racially profiled, which I think is just very, very bogus, because if you look at me, I'm very, very Hispanic looking, so to speak. I'm not afraid of it. Why? Because I've got nothing to be afraid of. Now, on the other hand, if someone is afraid, like you say, to speak up because they are being victimized and because they might be deported, well, again, the problem is already there that they are here illegally, and I guarantee that people in that case that have been victimized like that are not going to be dealt with harshly. The situation that we've got right now is that it's, number one, out of control. Number two, that the federal government is not doing anything. And number three, that the state has to protect its citizens. The name of this country is the United States of America. And it is the states that are responsible for their citizens, as well as the federal government is responsible for all of the states,
right.
not necessarily just the citizens.
Number one, to provide safety and security.
Exactly. A nation that does not protect its citizens or its borders ceases to be a nation. It's that simple. And we've got that situation right now, particularly with the fentanyl, particularly with the number of terrorists that have gotten in. Here in San Antonio, there was a protest at the city council by pro-Hamas protesters on Thursday, and very, very plainly, one of them said that there was not going to be any peace until they got their way. Now, knowing what these folks have done in the past, and these folks, by these folks, I mean folks who are pro-Hamas, who are pro-terrorists. I mean, I consider the Hamas organization a terrorist organization.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And if you're going to support that, and then you're going to tell us that there's going to be no peace. I worry about that. I worry about who is crossing illegally, and we don't know, because there are two types of ways that people are getting across. There are those that are coming across and introducing themselves and asking for asylum. Mm-hmm. That's one group, and that is a very, very large group. However, there are those that are being trafficked in, those that are sneaking in.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're sneaking in is because there's a reason that they're sneaking in.
Yeah, they're on the list.
They're on the list, or they've got a criminal background, and so those are the folks they're called gotaways, and those are the folks that we really, really worry about, because we don't know who they are.
Well, what I worry about is what happened in Israel on October 7th could happen in San Antonio, and the Hamas terrorists are not going to care if you support them or not. If you're a U.S. citizen,
that's it.
They're going to get killed too.
That's it. We have seen how how reckless a terrorist is, and for us to gamble in the name of humanity, in the name of of a humanitarian open border, I think it's very, very dangerous. I think it's playing roulette.
And how can we afford this? I mean, even if we did want to let in everybody that had some economic hardship in their country, we can't afford, as a nation. We're already trillions of dollars in debt ourselves. So we've been talking about border security with George Rodriguez, El Conservador, who has a show on 9:30 a.m. The Answer at 2 o'clock in the afternoons. You also have a podcast posted online. How can they find that?
If people will go to George Rodriguez, El Conservador, they will find both my website, as well as my podcast, as well as the Facebook page, Twitter. I post on all of those, and folks can track me down. George Rodriguez, El Conservador.
What are some of the topics that you like to talk about?
Well, besides illegal immigration and the border crisis, there's also the police community relations crisis that we've got going. That's a big headache, because over the past 4 years, since the George Floyd incident, we've had a really big demoralize the police movement, and we are now seeing the result of that in virtually every community major community across the country, where crime has risen. Now, folks play with statistics, and they say, well, this type of crime is down, or that type of crime is down. But when you look at it totally, it is sky high. It is sky high. And again, once a person is a victim of a crime, being a robbery, being a mugging, being a theft, being whatever, they change their tune about, a crime is a crime. And what we've got right now is, in my opinion, it's very sadly a deep, deep disrespect for law enforcement, for police, for the law in general. When you hear somebody, some liberal, speaking about law enforcement or the law, they say, well, it all depends. Well, that's like telling me, well, I like the 10 Commandments, but it depends. Well, yeah, I guess, if you could try to find a loophole in that. But unfortunately, that's what we see.
We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about sinners and saints and whether Mayorkas should be impeached. This is Talk Law Radio. Stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.